Sex Party with your host, Dustin Rybka.
Hello and welcome to Sex Party. I'm your host, Dustin Rybka. With me on the show this week is phone sex operator. Yes, you're hearing that correctly. Phone sex operator, adult content creator. Think OnlyFans, think Fansly, think LoyalFans. Podcast host. She also has a podcast. Peppercat is with me on the show this week. And when's the last time you got to hear all about phone sex from someone who's doing phone sex every single day? What are some of her wilder requests? How long on average does each person stay on the phone with her? Where are they calling from? That's kind of a wild one. And on the flip side, what is it like to have a couple dial you into their bedroom on the computer or iPad for you to masturbate and watch them have a threesome? We're talking about all of these things, plus psychologically what makes people get off on the things that they get off on. This is a wonderfully fun and fascinating episode. Have I ever let you down? Come on. So without further ado, please enjoy my conversation with Peppercat.
This week's conversation.
Peppercat, welcome to Sex Party. How are you doing? How are you feeling?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah, for sure. We've been sort of circling each other for a while, trying to make this happen. And, here we are, right? And I think, let's just start where most of the podcasts start. If for the people who are tuning in and they don't know who you are, could you talk a little bit about who you are and what it is that you do?
Sure. So I'm Peppercat, and I've been doing adult content for full time for 3 years. But I've done it for a total of 4 years. I was actually a news producer prior to doing this for about 3 years. So I produced morning news, late night news, lifestyle shows, and I enjoyed it, but I felt like I needed more money, more flexibility, and it was a high stressful environment, but I wasn't getting paid enough for what I thought I was putting into my job. And so I decided to start with phone sex and selling panties and camming. And so I did that part-time when I was working in the news station. At night, I would wear my mask and cam and sell panties and be naughty. But yeah, so now I currently do adult content, phone sex, as well as subscription sites. So I'm basically on all of the sites across the board when it comes to adult work.
Yeah. So, well, first of all, breaking news, because I had to find something to, maybe that's the episode title. I have no idea. But news producer, how long did you do that for?
I did it for about 3 years.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And you were just like, this is just not any fun, or it was just mainly the money? Or was it like you're kind of like not getting to use your creativity?
Yeah. I felt like I wanted content of my own, and it just wasn't the environment for me. It's a lot of type A people, which is great. There's a personality for it, but it just wasn't my personality.
So you already knew how to like edit and stuff like that then?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
yeah.
okay. So this makes you really dangerous in a good way in the world of adult content creation, because I mean, that is something that a lot of people I think holds them back, because they don't know how to edit and they worry. And some people don't edit at all. They just put their stuff out, and that's great too. And other people, they hire an editor, they hire a camera person, all the things. You said phone sex. What compelled you to start with phone sex?
Yeah, I didn't want to show my face, and so I didn't want to get caught. And so I just did phone sex, and it was something that I could remain anonymous unless one of my coworkers called me or something. But it was a way for me to just still do it but not show my face. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Where does one go to for phone sex these days? Because when I was younger, we would burn up the 900 numbers. You know what I mean? Like nonstop, and they were really expensive. It was like $3 a minute or something like that back in the day. So where does one go to now for phone sex?
Yeah, well, I'm mainly on Night Flirt. I think they still have late night commercials on TV. I believe so.
They
I'm on
should, yeah.
there. TalkToMe.com, Call Jane Doe. There's so many phone sex lines, but the main
Really?
one is Night Flirt. Yeah, that's like the oldest one.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Did you ever get a call from a coworker?
I don't think so. There have been times when I've heard people's voices and it sounds familiar, but I mean, it
Mhm.
can be anyone.
That's true, yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay. So what was like usually the main how did those calls go? Like if someone calls in like, "Hey, how's it going?" And then you're like, "Hello." Right? So like where does it go from there usually?
Yeah, well, sometimes sometimes people will call and they'll have heavy breathing, which means
Oh,
they're already masturbating or they're watching porn and they just want to get off in like 30 seconds or a minute.
yeah.
Then you'll have guys who want to just build up to it and kind of, you know, do small talk. And then there would just be guys that just don't know what they want, and then I'll just lead them. But for the most part, it's just small talk. They may have a naughty role play or a story that they want to tell me, and then we'll jump into whatever fantasy that they want. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it.
Was there well, yeah, those guys that would just want to get in there and get out. They they don't want to spend the $9 for the 3 minutes that it takes
Right.
to yeah. Um that's fascinating. This is fascinating already because I grew up in that late night those late night commercials, right?
Right.
And in a way I feel like those sorts of ads and sort of like that sort of culture, even the because they would only run them, and you were an overnight news producer. They would only run them like after a certain time. So it wasn't like you couldn't screw around like during the Tonight Show. It had to be like after 12:30, after 1:30, something like that.
Right.
And in a lot of ways, I feel like the podcast that I do, Sex Party, it does have that 1-900 feel to it, you know.
Hmm.
And so yeah, it definitely influenced it. So would you say there was there a certain set of things that most guys were calling to look for? Was it anal? Was it like they wanted you
Yeah.
to or whatever? Or was there something like totally bizarre?
Well, is well on phone sex because they can't see you, they get
Yeah.
really explicit. A lot of people, which I know it is controversial. I don't have a problem with it, but a lot of people, because obviously I'm black, so a lot of them have fantasies of being with a black woman. So they like me to do either me be the dominant one and bully them for how they look, or the opposite where they want me to like fulfill some fantasy that they've always
Ugh.
had with a black woman before. You can imagine what that would look like. But yeah, it's basically they like to have me as a fetish, or I do breed play and impregnation fantasy, which is
Okay.
huge right now.
Hmm.
That because I've done it in my personal life, so I just carried it out into phone
Yeah.
sex. And then the weird ones are weird calls that are bizarre, that are graphic.
Oh God. Yeah.
Yeah. My very first phone sex call was a guy who put on his wife's panties and pooped in it and wanted me to bully him for being a sissy. And he was poop. I don't know if I can say this on
No, you can say
camera.
whatever you want. Yeah, yeah,
He
yeah.
was pooping in his wife's panties and jerking off, and I made him cry, and that was like my first call, and it was really traumatizing because it's my first introduction to phone sex and the secret lives of people. So
Yeah. So you're like, God damn, this is gonna be a lot harder than I thought.
yeah, well, it was like traumatizing because I was like, wow, these are people's lives. They
Yeah.
really have double lives that no one knows about.
Yeah, and I wonder how the wife feels about the ruined underwear.
Right.
That's why that's
Yeah.
wild. Yeah, yeah. I mean, to have that happen on your first call though, that's kind of wild. That's kind of silly, in a way where it's like it almost feels like somebody did it to you on purpose or something, you know?
Probably. I don't know.
It's our first night. Here we go. We're gonna call in and say that. But I mean, I would imagine too, because you said you're on all the platforms. So I'm picturing OnlyFans, Fansly, LoyalFans, whatever. Right? There's, although it's probably different. I'm picturing that there's probably some wilder requests over there as well.
Yeah, well, phone sex, you can kind of get a certain sites like phone sex, they'll let you get away with certain things.
Hmm.
On sub sites, it's a little bit more tamed, like on OnlyFans, obviously.
Yeah.
Well, on camera, you'll see some things like on sub sites, like people fucking their ass or putting something in their asshole or something like that you won't see over the phone like
Sure.
that.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Well, and OnlyFans seems to have a lot of restrictions that like Fansly and
right.
Loyal Fans don't, which we talk about a lot now on the show, which is kind of I don't know, it feels like how are you the number one site and you have all these restrictions?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
What is your most favorite thing to do on the sub sites?
Um, well, I typically, because I have a background in film, I actually make miniature erotica stories. So it's called Dream Girl Chronicles, and I'll produce a short, naughty story and have a voiceover, music, different shots, sound effects, and kind of just make my viewer think that they're in some sort of TV show or movie. And that's what I enjoy. So I always drop it once a week. And
Oh,
it's
okay.
a weekly show that my fans love and that they catch up with. But yeah.
So
Uh,
what's what's the storyline of this show?
so each one is different. So for example, I'll focus on a story based on home wrecking, and the viewer is a guy who cheated on his wife, and I'm the naughty neighbor, and we have sex while his wife is in the next room or something like that. And it's always different, but it's always in my niche. So it's more so like interracial fantasies that guys have
Yeah.
about women like me. Yeah, it's always spicy.
You said it was called the Dream Girl Chronicles.
Dream Girl Chronicles.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, I
yeah,
love that. That's awesome.
yeah.
One
Thank
nine
you.
hundred Dream Girl. I mean, come on.
Sounds
Yeah,
good.
yeah, yeah. Um, okay, and then so are you doing mainly on the sub sites? Are you doing mainly like just solo masturbation stuff? Do you bring in partnered? Do you have partnered sex? Is it girl? Is it guy? Like
Hmm.
what are we doing over there?
For the most part, it's solo shows and me just talking to the camera for like 30 minutes with a dildo that looks like a real man, but you know what I mean? It's like that. But
Yeah.
um, with partner work, I do fantasy wrestling, which I'll do it from time to time. So I'll wrestle or do a cat fight with another content creator on camera.
Oh,
But
okay.
that's as far as it's gone in terms of
Okay.
collaborations or like face sitting, face smothering with another woman, stuff like that. Yeah.
Okay, so it's mainly been girl, but no
Hmm.
sex girl.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fascinating too. And so how does the market, how does your fans respond to that kind of content? They love it or what?
They love fantasy wrestling. I think Clips for Sale was like that was like the top most searched on across porn sites is
Yeah.
fantasy wrestling, and they love it. Shake, but like you can't see it, but then you see two women like basically humping or wrestling on camera, but they love it. It's like it's their favorite.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's strange because it's like So in my head, it's like when you see a video on Pornhub, we'll say, and it's like 2 girls, double-sided dildo, 6 guys. You're like, oh shit, okay, I'm in, right? But then there's like, you might click on or be curious about like, what's this like? Why are they rolling around? Like they're fighting over something. But then there's just like this weird thing that happens where if you do click on that other video, although you can get the instant sort of gratification from the the blow bang video or whatever, sometimes you find yourself watching something that's just like 2 girls like struggling and like wrestling over something. There's just something that's like, I wouldn't say it's a tease because it doesn't feel like that, but it feels so much like, oh, they're touching and now they're grinding. Something possibly could happen. I don't know. It sort of like leads you down this thing. There's a whole like psychological factor to that. So I'm sure that plays into what you do.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure it does. I mean, now that you've explained it like that, it does. It does make sense that someone would want to keep watching it, but not like come yet, and then they'll just keep watching 2 sexy women fighting.
Yeah. There's like a whole, like, I feel like the fighting thing, because there is a company called Evolved Fights that has like a wrestling sort of thing that's taken off in the porn game in the last few years. And then there's like the more narrative driven stuff, like I think it's like Ultra Girl or something. She's like there's different iterations of this like superwoman kind of thing, and she's always like fighting these bad guys and like beating her ass, but it's in like a comical way.
Funny.
Yeah, it's just like a horny thing, and I'm like, at first glance, you're like, that doesn't seem like it would be very fun, and then all of a sudden, you're like, you find yourself watching it, and it is like really, really horny. So I think that's fascinating that you found yourself doing that, and that kind of content does really well, right?
It does. Unfortunately, some of the adult sites have, because of like credit card issues, we can't do any more fantasy wrestling videos.
What?
So that's another restriction that we're facing right now. Yeah.
Wait,
It's crazy.
is it just OnlyFans or is it
No,
other?
I don't think it's on OnlyFans. I think it's like the clip sites
Oh,
on
okay.
like Miniviz, Clips for Sale, I Want Clips.
You can't do fantasy wrestling content because
Yeah.
of a credit card company?
Something, yeah. I don't know if it's like a liability thing, but no more wrestling on those sites. It's just crazy.
Did you get an email saying no more
Yeah.
wrestling?
Yeah.
God damn it, Pepper Cat. Yeah.
Yeah.
Stop wrestling. That's really weird. Because I feel like there's so many places online you could find clips like that for purchase, and it's weird that they would not allow that. Maybe someone got hurt or something.
Maybe so. Who knows?
Yeah. That's super, super strange. And then obviously you also have this podcast, which seems like it goes right along with everything that you're doing in the adult industry, like and around the adult industry. It looks like it was nominated for an AVN award, so that's really cool. So yeah, tell me all about your podcast.
Yeah, so I started the podcast in 2023. I wanted to bring a part of journalism with me, even though I left the news industry, and kind of show a different side of myself. So it's an audio only podcast called Spicy Spectrum, where I
No, it's all right.
basically talk about taboo topics, but also go into topics where we address desire. It's my point of view from an adult entertainer's point of view in terms of what I do behind closed doors and what my customers do behind closed doors. And we dissect why people are freaky and why people come to sex workers for ungodly activities. Yeah.
So okay, so you're over there discussing more of the psychological.
Right.
See, I love that. You're in the right place, because I'm a sexual, psychological, sexual, I don't know, whatever the fuck. There's probably a term for it, but I'm fascinated by what makes people do what they do and why it turns people on, and how to like find those buttons and push them, or maybe not push them, but almost push them and whatever. So what are some of the revelations you found around like kinks and sex workers and what makes people tick over there?
Yeah, well, I've had a couple of sex therapists come on, and they've been able to break down why people enjoy kinks and fetish, or just, naughty videos. And
Sure.
but one of the things that shocked me was that, because I know I've spoken to people and I don't know if it's true or not, if they're into what they're telling me. And one of the things I learned is that sometimes people who fantasize about certain sexual acts, it's not always something that they'll do when they're not horny. It's just something that just turns them on. And then on the other side of the coin, some people are actually into what they fantasize about, which was shocking too, because I know I'll get some weird, bizarre calls, and I've always thought, are they really into this or are they not? But it's an either or, which is kind of scary too, because
Yeah,
you
no,
just never
that's
know.
so okay. So what you're saying is basically like the people with that have these certain extreme kinks or fetishes or things that maybe they're not extreme, but they're just, different, right? That they're really not into that in their daily life. They're only like peeking out and having a good time like once in a while, or
Right.
that's crazy. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, I guess I understand that though, because sometimes, but see, I mean, it feels like it has to be representative of something inside them that wants to play,
Right.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and like that's one of the things that they found too, or I don't know the the certain sex therapist, but a common theme is that something in their life happened, and so now it triggers them to be turned on by something. Like if somebody's into feet, maybe they saw someone's feet when they were younger, and then now they have a foot fetish or something
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, is that the case all the time though, that something has triggered that in their childhood? Like
Most
for
of the time, and
yeah.
actually it's something that they tell me too over the phone. They always tell me if what they're into, something happened when they were younger. Now it can be extreme or it can just be something basic,
Yeah.
but it always goes back to childhood with what they're
Huh.
into.
So if
Hmm.
someone's into
Yeah.
gangbangs, what is what happened there?
I don't know. I'm not sure about that. I hope
Yeah.
not.
All right. Well, yeah, I mean, and that's see that, and for me, that's where it gets kind of murky because it's like I think there there's probably more defining that we'd have to do if it gets into an area where it's like, oh, I think this is hot. I think that and like the whole hot wifing thing, like where's that coming from? Like I would be really curious to see, um because the cuck holding and all of that sort of dom sub, like that's pretty self-explanatory. It's usually
Right,
somebody who's in control all the time in their life, and they want someone to take the wheel and tell them to shut the fuck up, and like,
right.
well, that turns them on or whatever. That's self-explanatory. But if everything is triggered by something you've done or something that's happened or something you saw, it could be just as simple as like seeing porn a little too early, or um I don't know. I wonder what that says about, like, I wish we could take all of the different genres of porn and fetishes and sort of figure out what's the most interesting revelation you've come across in your podcast work.
Um, a revelation. I
Like
don't
something where
know.
like, oh my god, I didn't know that. Holy shit, what does that mean about me?
I don't know about me. I
Or
guess
just in
there.
yeah, just in
There's.
general, you know what I mean? Like, is there
Mhm.
something that a guest came on and said that you just could not, it was just like shocking, and just like, you always sort of think of that thing like, oh my god, I can't believe I learned that. It's kind of a big question.
Yeah. Well, no, yeah, I did have a sex therapist come on, and she basically, because obviously most of my customers are men, and so I was asking her, well, why do you think um married men and men with partners and single men, why do they all come to us, even if they're partnered already? And she said something along the lines that um, specifically men experience some sort of loneliness, even if somebody's in their life, that they come to sex workers for, in terms of um, exploring either a connection or sexual fantasy that they can't get outside of their lives, and they always want more of something.
Yeah.
I know she probably broke it down more, but I thought it was interesting that she said married men are still lonely. And I was like, whoa, that's
Yeah.
interesting, because you would think they wouldn't be, and they're our main demographic. So
Yeah. I think married
yeah.
people are potentially lonely as hell, you
Mm-hmm.
know, because
Oh
there's so
yeah.
much stress, and if you have kids and all of those things. I'm not married and I don't have kids, but just the, you know, those relationships that are, you're living together, you're struggling together, you're whatever, the first thing that kind of goes by the wayside is sex. And so I think it would make anyone lonely, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And and I think too, with my customers too, I think there comes to a point where you've shown yourself to your partner, and then can you imagine coming to me for something raunchy, like even like age play or rape play, and then you go to your partner and say, hey, are you into this? But they, for the most part, don't even do it, because then it's kind of a iffy thing. You don't want your partner to think that you're weird or you're into something that you shouldn't
Right.
be. So I think that too.
Yeah. 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 And maybe some people are afraid to ask their partner for stuff.
Oh
Like
yeah.
they haven't even like got there maybe or something. I don't know.
Hmm.
Which is that can be insanely bad for a
Oh yeah.
relationship. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so is the majority of your clientele like on the phone side or on the subscriber side, would you say it's married dudes?
Oh yeah, most of them. They've been on here for years, like on phone
Okay.
sex, like 20 plus. I'm like, how did you not get caught? But I don't know if their partners know, or they've come to some
Oh
agreement
yeah,
maybe.
that's right. They're going out in the garage or something in the middle of
Oh
the night.
yeah, on camera, like on cam, like when I video chat, they'll be like in closets, bathrooms, garages. On the phone, they'll talk to me while their spouse is sleeping, and I'm just like, how is she not hearing you?
Like in the
Jerking
room
off
with
right
her.
in the room. Like it's a turn on to get caught.
Okay.
Like,
That makes
yeah,
sense. That
it's
makes sense.
crazy. But yeah, most of them are married fiancés.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the camera turns on and you're like, "Are you in a closet?"
Yeah, like it's crazy. In their cars, like cars would be passing by, like they do
Oh
some
my
risky
god.
stuff. Driving, I've gotten people drive and jerking off. I think that's a
No
big skill
way.
to have.
Wow. Are you like, "Hey, just pull over. Just pull over."
Yeah, and then they'll tell me that they've done it before. It's okay. So, I'm
That's
like, wow, that's
insane.
dangerous.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, is there any percentage of them that their partner knows that they're coming to you?
I would say like 15%.
Oh,
I've
okay.
I've had guys who are poly, or they'll tell me, "Hey, my partner knows. She, she knows I
Sure
call."
she
It's
does.
typically older men though, like in their 50s or 60s or something like that.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that tracks because I think you get the older you get, it's like you don't really give a shit anymore. It's like, oh, it's fine, it's whatever.
Yeah.
Um, but I'm trying to decide like that is fascinating and wild too because there is like all these lonely people that are just like they just want to do something horny and fun and they can't ask their partner for it, or maybe they've asked and the partner has said no or something, or been like you said, not into it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and
Yeah.
also, I mean, they don't want. I know too, like with the cuckolding thing, they don't want their partners to feel like they have to sleep with another person. So then they'll just call me and just make it a fantasy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah.
um Yeah, that is so funny you say, "Oh my god," on the phone because they have to talk, and in the phone, like when you're just on like OF or something, you're just typing. So it's a whole other risk factor of getting caught.
Oh yeah, and like they love it. I mean, I don't know how they haven't gotten caught yet and how they are still on these websites, but I guess they found a way to be sneaky.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
separate credit cards or something, separate bank accounts. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. But I do feel like it would. I mean, especially when you're trying to be horny and shit, and you have to like, are they all like whispering and shit?
Yeah. Whispering, it's crazy. Like in their office, I'm like, how have you not like been heard moaning? And like these guys are a lot of these guys are managers. Like these are men who run companies too,
Oh
and
yeah,
they for somehow just don't get caught. But
yeah. You
yeah,
gotta know when to take that extra long lunch break.
and they do. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
No, yeah. They always call during lunchtime or, you know, during some break too. That's like the prime time when men call.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, you gotta you gotta you gotta get it in on the lunch break, because then
Mhm.
before you go home and all of that stuff. Do you have any couples that come to you for stuff?
I've had couples mainly on camera, so I'll
Hmm.
have cam shows where they'll come on cam and like they'll have sex on camera, and I'll just masturbate and like dirty talk and turn them on or something like that. Or yeah, on audio, I actually had a guy have sex with someone, like he just random, I don't know if it was like a part of the kink, but he randomly, I like heard this lady on the phone and they started fucking and I was on the phone encouraging them. So it was
Oh, some speakerphone
yeah.
action there. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, so it's hard to encourage somebody you can't see, right? Unless he's like dictating to you what's happening. So
I
you're
just
just
heard the clapping noise.
fucking awesome. Yeah. That that's cool. So, but I would imagine too, like, I mean, how often is it that you get a couple where you are like engaged, or you're just like watching them fuck or something?
I'll compliment the woman on the phone or tell her that she's doing a good job. Like, if he's if he's getting head from her, I'll just tell her that she's doing what she's supposed to do. Because I don't want her to think, I don't want her to be like get jealous or anything. So I'll like try to bump her head up, so that we can all have a good
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great. Well, I mean, it's if they're having sex, and then they can look over at the computer or the fucking iPad or whatever and see you going at it too. Like that, it does add almost like a like a it's almost like a threesome, but it's like there's something extra to it. It makes it a little, you know, more taboo in a way, I think.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, I think it's a cool way too, because then he's not technically touching me and he's with you. And, it's like a part of the fantasy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I actually really love this idea now the more that I think about
I
it.
think
This
it's a good idea.
Yeah, it could
Hmm.
be an introduction if you want to play in that space a little bit, but you're
Hmm.
nervous. It could be kind of an intro to that, to have somebody watch you guys bone and touch themselves, right? That could be hot.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
I
For sure.
agree.
How often do you do that for couples?
It's from time to time. It's usually people who I've cam with for years when we'll do solo shows and then they'll feel comfortable bringing in their partner on camera. Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, God, hope that takes off. I don't know why people aren't doing that. I heard during the pandemic. So, were you doing this during the pandemic? Because I heard
No.
this particular thing was really big during the pandemic.
I was a news producer. I wish I would have been doing this during the pandemic rather
Yeah.
than reporting on deaths.
Uh-huh.
I would have made so much money if I had known about phone sex.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I know it sounds bad, but I I always want something where it will require people to stay in so I can capitalize off of that.
Yeah. Well, you had
Yeah,
Uber drivers out here making like $3,000 a day,
it's
and
true. Yeah.
everybody started a podcast, including myself. So I feel you totally. The more they're in the house, the more that you can offer services that require people to be in the house,
Yeah.
well, although people are like driving around jerking off while they talk to you, which is very dangerous, ladies and gentlemen. So please consult your safety guide. I don't know, whatever. Just be careful. Don't drive through someone's yard or something when you although I have done that. I am guilty of doing that, not on the phone, but yeah, I've definitely done that driving super long time ago. Super dangerous, like I said. Don't close your eyes. Yeah, don't do that. So what when you were like, so you're a news producer, you're God, there's got to be something more creative. Like, how did you get to sex work? Was it always something that you wanted to do, or did you just keep seeing the hey big boy, call me at, or whatever ad run, and that's what did it? Or what got you right there? Did you try something else first and then to sex work, or what got you into sex work?
I've always thought about, like, I would be on Pornhub. Obviously, I watch porn prior to doing this, and I would always go into the cam rooms, when you're on Pornhub, and then the chatterbait pops up of the
Yeah.
woman masturbating in some random room. And so
Right.
I would actually,
Vigorously.
yeah, and,
Yeah.
and I would actually go in there and say, "Oh, this is cool." But I was always sexually open. It did cross my mind to do something, but I just didn't know how it would look or the opportunities. And then I met a couple of women who did phone sex and sold panties, and I was sold after I heard, you know, about the money, and then also it's a way to get a glimpse into people's secret lives that not everyone has the opportunity to even know about. So I think just me being curious with the psychology background too, I was curious about
Yeah.
human behavior, but actually hands-on experience. So.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. So you had a desire, like growing up and like through school, like about other people's desires and sex in general.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. When I was in college, I took um, sexuality courses that related to sex.
Yeah.
But then I also took media courses, and so I think I was always interested in sexuality and media. I just didn't know how it would come together, and so this was one of the ways, because I'm basically a psychologist, not as I'm basically their psychologist when they tell me all
Yeah.
their problems, and I help them solve a problem of
Sure.
jerking off.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
But were you shy and guarded in your personal sex life, or were you wilding out at the sorority house doing flips and keg stands and shit like that in college, or what?
Well, I actually went to a Catholic school growing up
All
from
the more reason to be
middle
wild.
school. Yeah, I mean, I went to Catholic school, all girl Catholic school up until high school. And so when I went to college, I got a little wild and I was always curious. So I think that's why I took the courses, because I had never learned about sex ed in high school, and sex. So I took the opportunity in college. I wasn't too wild in college, not too wild, but yeah. And I think because I grew up super religious, I was always curious of the other side of that. And so I think too that made me want to jump into camp work, as being naughty behind closed
Yeah.
doors.
Well, that'll do it. I mean, some religion will really get you
Mhm.
going sexually for sure. And I think, when you say not too wild, what are we talking? Like, were you were you dating multiple people, or were you going to like parties and like, living it up and
Yeah.
hooking up and then leaving or whatever, or what?
Yeah, I would party all the time and like just do what college girls do. College. Drink a lot, smoke, just crazy stuff like that. I
Yeah.
mean, I was a really good student, but I also partied a lot, and
Yeah, I think that's
yeah,
awesome. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
did both.
Yeah, you gotta have a little of the, you gotta have a little of both. I think, you know, you gotta live
Yeah,
it up while you can. I
I
mean, come on.
did.
Yeah. So like threesomes and shit, or like
No,
just,
not
oh, okay,
like
all right,
that. Not just like
yeah,
tame things, but yeah.
yeah, just occasional hookup.
Mhm, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, we love that. Yeah, that's great. You know, that's what college is for. To do some, whatever your version of what wild is. I think the thing about college and the thing about media and the thing about porn that I think people miss is whether it's Pornhub or MTV or a Curiosity or a 1-900 company or whatever it is, people, I think a lot of people miss their chance to dial into that. I remember growing up with MTV, and like that would, you know, before I had access to porn, like MTV was like, you know, we'd wait around for the fucking Christina Aguilera dirty video to hit record or whatever, whoever it was. Right. And so I think that was sort of a gateway into sexuality and, you know, the pop culture and all of that. And then you'd have, you know, I was calling the 1-900 numbers from the payphone and hanging up, you know, when I was really way too young to be doing that. But I think that we miss these opportunities, whether it's, we shame ourselves away from, oh, you know, or whatever. I never did any of that. I just sort of dialed into everything because I didn't care. I wasn't religious. I never felt guilty about my sexual fucking, you know, craziness or whatever. But I think a lot of people do. And so I think it's incredible that you are offering services that have that in mind, right? You did say you feel like you're helping them like jerk off and come or whatever, but do you feel like your psychology background is sort of playing a role in helping people get more into, like, with your repeat customers, like they're getting
Oh
more into
yeah.
who they really are?
Oh yeah, yeah. I've had guys for years, and I'm always in their life throughout, like, divorces,
Oh yeah.
married, deaths. I mean, I'm a part of their life for the most part, and like you said, people need outlets, sexual outlets, and I think that's what people misunderstand about our industry is that we do provide a safe place for people to be naughty and have their fantasies because a lot of people walk around with a mask on and they lie to people and they have these secret lives, and we create a space where they can actually do the weird things that they want and don't want to get caught by
Yeah.
doing it.
Yeah, and I think too, part of that long-winded statement, and what I meant to say also is, on the flip side, is we don't give porn enough credit for giving people an outlet to explore those things that may not be taboo or may be incredibly taboo, like family role play and all of those dynamics, because it's not just, there's no reason. It's like, oh, it's clearly popular for a reason. And
Exactly.
you know what I mean? And so I feel like we
Yeah.
really rag on porn and sex workers so much. We miss the idea that without them, we wouldn't have outlets to explore these things about ourselves.
Yeah, and what people don't understand is that porn, we don't create that porn. That porn is a representation of what's in people's minds. It's just explicit. I mean, I think people are uncomfortable with the truth, and the truth is some people get off on taboo role plays, and we don't create that. That's what people like. That's what people want. And I mean, I'm not saying it's all good and bad, but it's a representation of what people are actually thinking and what actually
Yeah.
people like, you know.
Yeah, porn is going to reflect what the market desires. And so
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
why, and I say this almost every fucking episode, but you could spend a whole day on Pornhub just clicking refresh, and the top 5 won't really change that much because it's always going to be, you know, MILF, step sister, stepmother, stepdaughter, swaps, like whatever the fuck is in there. It's always going to sort of stay somewhat the same because the market is reflecting what the desire is of the consumer,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
which people they totally don't get that. They're like, you're flooding our social media with incest porn and blah blah blah. You're trying to push your incest agenda and MILFs and like whatever. It's like, dude, chill out, man. Some people just want to have a good time to something weird. Chill.
Right. Exactly. Like, I mean, it's like kind of like what I said earlier. Like, yeah, some people are into like taboo things, and they may be into it in real life, or they may not. It's just what people jerk off to.
I mean, are you getting a lot of those calls where it's like, I want you to be my sister and shit like that?
So there are phone sex there are some companies that don't allow it. I'm just being clear, but there are some phone sex sites that will allow for extreme taboo, and that's one of them. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm gotten those requests. Got age play requests. Like, yeah.
Yeah. Well, of course.
Taboo, yeah.
And so those calls, like, do you just roll with it and just have a good time, or are you more like guarded, would you say?
I typically get into it. I mean, I think phone sex prepared me for a lot of bizarre requests and I know how to separate my personal from what I do, and I do it so much that it's normal when somebody wants me to be their sister. And I know that sounds bad, but
not really.
Yeah. Nothing shocks me anymore.
Yeah, same. And like, again, when she's saying bizarre, we're not yucking anyone's yum. We're just saying outside the ordinary, like, square box that most people, and it's funny because like MILF now is super, it's super like almost not taboo anymore.
Oh, yeah.
Which is wild, because like people kind of like let that shit, roll into a place where it's so wildly accepted. And like, I don't know, I've seen some pretty mainstream things like make jokes about the step bro stuff, like being stuck in the dryer and shit like that. But I think that means that you're a professional, and we have people on the show all the time that are performers and stars and everything in between, and they fall into like different camps. Some don't like doing that kind of work, and some really do. They're like, oh, actually it kind of turns me on a little bit because it's so like forbidden that it's like fun to go into that space. How often are you getting the sis call, like, hey sister, or or hey stepmom or whatever? Like, is that a pretty common thing nowadays?
Yeah, I probably get for phone sex probably once a day somebody who wants to do some incest. Phone call,
some incest play. Yeah. I'm sure.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's more common,
than people think.
think.
And
that's across the board.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah. Well, you can't even say certain things on OnlyFans, so that makes it difficult. Although you can kind of like talk around it. I know I've tried to send certain words on OnlyFans and it won't let me send it. I'm like, what the fuck is this? So that's a whole thing. But I do think the vocal component with that in particular would be a whole other level of, people would really get into that once a day. Wow. Okay.
It's common. Like, yeah, it's really.
So are they calling for the sister or the mom more?
It's the mom, sister, other relations, but for the most part, yes, sister and mom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Little cousin action in there somewhere. Yeah. I'm sure. Yeah. It's wake up, people.
Yeah. Into like they'll remind them of someone, like some stepsister that they grew up with.
Sure.
That they've always had
a thing for. Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. So in general, not with the step stuff, but like in general, like all included, what's the average length of a call with you usually? Because I know you probably have regulars who do spend a lot of money and they do spend more time. But just if you take it all in, how long are they hanging out?
Typically, I want to say like 5 minutes,
Okay.
5 to 10 minutes, depending on if
Okay.
they're in a rush, if their wife is coming home from like shopping or something. But for the most part, yeah, it's like 5 to 10 minute calls. Yeah.
Okay. And like, how does it? Is it a couple dollars per minute, or is it like they buy a block of time, or how does it work?
Some people will pay for 15 minutes, 30 minutes, but for the most part, my calls are 1.99 per minute, but that like stacks up pretty quickly.
So $1.99
Mhm.
or okay, I was like,
Yeah.
wait a minute, you're charging $200 a minute over there?
Oh,
Holy
I
shit.
should.
Yeah, yeah. That's to pretend you're everybody's fucking stepsister and fucking all these other careers that you never had and like fucking yeah. Have you ever had somebody call in with something that was just too complex that you were like, I can't, I'm not sure if I can do this?
Yeah. Yeah, I used to get a call, but she doesn't call anymore. Like the ones that are like like corpse related. Like I had this one call where he wanted I don't think he would be listening. Like he wanted like he pickled the fantasy was pickling his penis and if I were I don't know, it's just something about death and like corpse and stuff like that. It's just
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah. So he was the
Yeah.
dead one.
Yeah, and like
Okay.
he wanted me to chop off his penis, like fuck his pickled penis, give it a blowjob, and tell him how much I enjoyed it. It was probably just something that just gets him off, I'm sure,
Yeah.
hopefully. But
Yeah.
yeah, like that kind of stuff is like kind of gross to me. I'll do it, but I have to eat it
Yeah.
after my calls. I have lunchtime. I just don't want to think about that, you know?
I can't look at it at any pickles and fucking without
Mhm.
thinking about that. And yeah, I know I get it. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I've had someone on the show who did talk about extreme like fetishes, like really extreme, like the death stuff and like
Oh,
body stuff getting chopped off and shit. And it's like
yeah.
once you do it once, you can't do it again. So
Yeah.
careful now. Yeah.
Yeah. And like,
Um
oh, sorry. I didn't mean to
no,
cut
no,
you
go
off.
ahead.
I'm always curious with those calls because I don't know the stats for like murderers and stuff like that or like serial killers. I'm always curious like if I'm talking to someone. I don't know. It always does cross my mind like, "Oh, are they into this or are they really doing this?" And they're just telling I don't know. Like it does cross my mind because I get a lot of those calls, like death
Right.
calls. I don't know.
Yeah.
It just could be taboo. But,
Yeah, that would make
yeah.
me wonder too, though, because you never know if somebody's like really isolated, and
Mhm.
maybe it is Ted Bundy's great grandson or whatever it is who's calling from a shack. You
You
never,
never
you
know.
no,
Like
you don't. And
it's
when those,
crazy.
yeah, and when those people get desperate, you really don't. But I think for the most part, and what the fuck do I know? I'm some fucking podcast guy, but I feel like it is like an extreme fetish, where
Yeah.
it's just some shit that they're into or whatever.
Mhm.
Well, flipping back to like uh some of the more I wouldn't say mundane, but like more regular things, not pickled penises in a jar or whatever. But were you okay? So when you started doing phone sex work, right? And even I guess like subscribe like OnlyFans and like whatever, like sex work, like on the internet. Do you find yourself getting actually like turned on? And if you do, was that a surprise to you?
Yeah. Yeah, like there were I think usually when they'll have me masturbate or use a toy that will require squirting, yeah, that definitely turns me on, especially if they're saying something that I'm like, "Ew, that's something I would not do." Not not ill, but that's something bizarre that I would not be into. If I'm jerking off myself, I could come to it and I'm like, "I can't believe I just came to him saying that. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's definitely happened a couple times. Or like if the customer is attractive, like on camera, like if we have some chemistry or something, I'll be into it. Even if he's into something I may not typically be into, I can't control my body. So if I'm attracted to him or something like that too. Hmm.
Was that a surprise to you? Did you have to take a minute to be like, why did I come to that thing or whatever?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. But I think that's, again, that pushes into more of the stuff that no one's ever talking about, which is awesome that we are. And I think, you know, sometimes I feel like the brain will just grab shit that it knows it's not supposed to, and it'll make you more turn on because it's like you're doing this sort of rebellious thing against what you normally would think or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, especially with customers, because one would think that we don't get turned on because we talk to men all day. I'm kind of like mad at myself for giving in to that one customer who made me come when typically I don't. I'm like, man, he got me. Like typically I don't like, get turned on for the majority just because I talk to them all day. It's always that one person that gets me.
You never know. Yeah, yeah. I mean, what does this look like for, I don't know, and I don't know if you're dating or whatever, but like, what does this look like for like your personal sex life and dating life? Is it something you dial into for this amount of time, or has it had any effect on your personal dating life
In the
or sex life?
past, when I did phone sex and OnlyFans while dating, they didn't care unless they told, like, maybe they told me and deep down they may have, but they would give me advice too on how I should take my pictures, like, ad- advice about men and like what
Oh
I should
God.
say to them. Currently, I date, but it's nothing serious. I usually wait to tell them probably until it gets more serious to tell them what I do. But like even in the past, like I've told partners and we'll go to sex clubs or, we'll get kinky, more kinky in the bedroom and do things that um, that they feel comfortable exploring with me because of my background and what I
Hmm.
do.
Yeah.
So, and most,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, it's helped us explore some, kinky things
Yeah.
in the bedroom.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was wondering too. Like, do you find yourself like you're with a dude, and it's getting intimate and you're like, hooking up and having sex and he's
Mhm.
saying whatever and you're like, this isn't doing anything for me. Like I need a pickled penis or something, like
No.
because you dealt because you dealt with so much, well, not
Mhm.
that, but you know what I mean? Like you've dealt with so much horniness and craziness all day long,
Mhm.
every day. Do you find that you need more stimulation, like more wildness in your personal sex life because of what you do?
Mhm. I'm more so I know what I like, and if I'm not getting it, then I don't want to be with you. If you're not willing to be open-minded. Like if somebody's vanilla and they're not willing to explore more, then I don't want to be with them. Just because I know what it feels like to be sexually open and explore.
Yeah.
And I also know what I like too on my body.
Hmm.
So I'm kind of strict
Yeah.
with that. And I mean, not like too strict, but if you're not gonna explore with me, then I'm not interested.
Yeah, I think how often, I mean, how quickly do you arrive at that? Do you have that conversation? If you find somebody, I feel like you're probably not
Hmm.
finding very vanilla dudes though.
I found one. Yeah, and it was actually when I first started, and I I'm more suggesting things like, hey, this is what I like, this is what I don't like, and then they don't listen, or which is nothing wrong with just doing
Sure.
missionary if that's your thing, and if you just want to do that, that's cool, but I wanted to do other positions and he just wasn't doing it for me.
Oh no, yeah,
Yeah,
that
I was
sucks.
bored.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that sucks. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
unfortunate. Well, you said sex clubs. How often do you go to sex clubs?
I'm moved to a new city, but previously when I was with my previous partner, we went probably like once a week, maybe once every
Oh,
other
okay.
week depending on the season, but
Okay.
Yeah, we went pretty often.
And was this like
Yeah.
a situation where you guys were like watching, swapping, having other people join you? Like how wild did it get?
He was pretty jealous in terms of
Oh
that,
no.
which makes me think he probably wasn't okay with what I was doing. Now that I'm thinking of it. But yeah, I mean, like, we would have sex in front of people and they would jerk off. And then there would be like a guy who would want to join and he would be like, no, you can't touch her and stuff like that. But yeah, like we would just have sex and people jerk off, masturbate. Because well, I don't know if you know, but in sex club there's a public room where everyone's having sex, which is what we did. Private rooms, and then rooms where you can kind of see the shadow of the person having sex. So we would, alternate. But for the most part, we would be in the public room with me like bouncing on it in front of people. It was fun
Oh.
because it was basically what I do on cam, just with a person. So.
Yeah. No, I definitely feels
Yeah,
like you love to be watched as well as the guy or
I do.
listened
Hmm.
to both, maybe. Like that's the
Hmm.
sort of a vibe that I get from you, that you don't mind a voyeur or two dozen watching. But when they're masturbating, it's from a distance. They're not like up in your face doing it.
Yeah, it's from a distance, like if they're like in a chair behind me or on a couch or something like that. Or what I personally enjoyed was me having sex with him and then I'm watching another couple and we're staring at each other while we're all just having sex.
Yeah.
Eye contact,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing I'm always pushing on this podcast is like, if you go to a sex club, you don't have to include other people. You don't have to do anything. You can watch. That's a big kink that I think a lot of people miss, is that you can just go and watch, and you can go and hang out, have a drink, you don't have
Yeah,
to whatever. So I think that's
yeah.
very
I
cool.
mean, it's food, drinks, all that. Yeah,
Yeah.
at those
Yeah.
clubs. Yeah.
Pepper Cat, thank you so much for being with me on the show this week. Let's talk to them and tell them where they can find all of your stuff on social media, but more importantly, where they can find you and just dump out like buckets of cash all over you.
Yeah, well, if you want to visit my social media, you can go to Design Your Dream Girl has all of my handles. It's my main page where I do a customized experience on cam, on messaging, or custom videos. And so that's my main hub. So if you visit Design Your Dream Girl, that has links to my social media, podcast, email, everything. So that's the
Okay.
main hub.
Okay. And then you're obviously you're on Instagram.
Yes, at Pepper the Black. Sorry, my dog. Sorry. Pepper the Black Cat. But it
Okay.
should, if you type in Pepper Cat with a K on all platforms, you should
Oh,
be
so
able to
okay.
find me. Yeah.
Okay. So like Twitter and everything else.
I am shadow banned on Twitter, so you'll have to
Who
come to my
isn't?
website to
Yeah.
click the
Yeah.
link. Yeah, they're
Yeah.
like doing me
Well,
dirty.
they yeah, yeah, they're doing everybody dirty. They're doing the world dirty right now, actually.
Yeah.
So, okay. Well, I had a really amazing time with you. That flew by. I don't know how that was just an hour,
It's
but it
been an
was.
hour, yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. So I'll have to have you back. We'll talk more about your adventures. But I love that you shined a light on some of the fascinating stuff around sex and phone sex and sex work. And yeah, we'll have to book you back on soon.
Yeah, I look forward to it. Thank you. Thank you so much for
Absolutely.
having me
Yeah,
on.
for sure. We'll talk soon.
Thanks.
Huge thank you to my guest, Pepper Cat, for being on the show with me this week. Make sure you go check out all she is doing on all her sites. Also, like, take some cash, give her a call, see what that's all about, right? If you're loving guests like Pepper Cat, she will be back. But if you're just loving Sex Party, you're loving all the guests, you're still, on board somewhat with all of my shenanigans, you want to show the podcast some love, some appreciation, some desire for more Sex Party, what can you do? Well, if you're listening to this on platforms like Apple and Spotify, you could leave a rating, you could leave a review. Sure, those things are wonderful, and I will cherish that. I will read those over and over again when I'm having a bad day or a good day. But what you really want to do is you want to make sure that you're subscribed to the show so you never miss a new episode every single Wednesday. It takes 1 second, 2 seconds if you're having a bad day, but it means a ton, especially if you're subscribed or you think you're subscribed on Apple Podcasts. They've been doing this strange thing where they're unsubscribing people from certain podcasts for whatever reason. So go to Apple Podcasts, go to Sex Party with Dustin Rybka. In the upper right-hand corner, if you see a pause button, hit that button, toggle on down to resume subscription, resume download. Boom, you're resubscribed. If you're watching this on YouTube, I love you. I see you. I appreciate you. If you're watching on YouTube, have you ever utilized phone sex and like dialed in, paid for phone sex? Leave your answer in the comments. I'm curious to see where you guys are at on this. If you're watching on YouTube and you want to make sure that you never miss a new episode of the show, you want to show the show some love, some rage, some hate, you want to express some emotion, how can you do that? You could like this video, you could dislike this video, you could do that to all the videos, you could leave comments on this video, all the videos, positive or negative. We will go back and forth, have a bit of a dialogue. But what you want to do is you want to make sure that you subscribe to the channel so you never miss a new episode every single fucking Wednesday. I'm always available in the DMs on Instagram, and I will see you all right back here next week.
Thanks for listening. The party continues next week. Click subscribe and let's make this a regular thing. Follow the show on Instagram and Twitter at Sex Party FM. Follow Dustin at Dustin Rybka.